Shalom, and welcome back to day 44 of reading the Bible in 52 weeks. Woo! My God, I trust in you. Make your ways known to me, Lord. Teach me your paths. Guide me in your trust and teach me, for you are the God of my salvation. Amen. Let's go. And today we'll be reading Numbers 28 through 30. The Lord spoke to Moses, "Command the Israelites and say to them, be sure to present to me at the appointed time of offering, and my food as an offering, a pleasing aroma to me. And say to them, this is the food offering you are to present to the Lord. Each day present 2 unblemished year-old male lambs as a regular burnt offering. Offer 1 lamb in the morning and the other at twilight, along with 2 quarts of fine flour for the grain offering, mixed with a quart of olive oil from the crushed olives. It is a regular burnt offering established at the Mount Sinai for a pleasing aroma, a food offering to the Lord. The drink offering is to be a quart with each lamb. Pour out the offering of beer to the Lord in the sanctuary area. Offer the second lamb at twilight, along with the same kind of grain offering and drink offerings as in the morning. It is a food offering, a pleasing aroma to the Lord. On the 7th day, present 2 unblemished year-old male lambs, 4 quarts of fine flour mixed with oil as a grain offering, and its drink offering. It is the burnt offering for every Sabbath, in addition to the regular burnt offering and its drink offering. At the beginning of each of your months, present a burnt offering to the Lord: 2 young bulls, 1 ram, 7 male lambs, a year old, all unblemished, with 6 quarts of fine flour mixed with oil as a grain offering for each bull, 4 quarts of fine flour mixed with oil as a grain offering for the ram, and 2 quarts of fine flour mixed with oil as a grain offering for each lamb. It is a burnt offering, a pleasing aroma, a food offering to the Lord. Their drink offerings are to be 2 quarts of wine with each bull, 1 3 quarts with the ram, and 1 quart with each male lamb. This is the monthly burnt offering for all the months of the year, and 1 male goat to be offered as a sin offering to the Lord, in addition to the regular burnt offering with its drink offering. The Passover to the Lord comes in the 1st month, on the 14th day of the month. On the 15th day of the month there will be a festival, unleavened bread to be eaten for 7 days. On the 1st day there is to be a sacred assembly. You are not to do any daily work. Present a food offering, a burnt offering to the Lord: 2 young bulls and 1 ram, and 7 male lambs, a year old. Your animals are to be unblemished. The grain offering with them is to be fine flour mixed with oil. Offer 6 quarts with each bull and 4 quarts with the ram. Offer 2 quarts with each of the 7 lambs, and 1 male goat for a sin offering to make an anointment for yourselves. Offer these with the morning burnt offering that is a part of the regular burnt offering. You are to offer the same food each day for 7 days as the food offering, a pleasing aroma to the Lord. It is to be offered with the drink offering and a regular burnt offering. On the 7th day you are to hold a sacred assembly. You are not to do any daily work. On the day of first fruits you are to hold a sacred assembly, when you present an offering of new grain to the Lord as your festival of weeks. You are not to do any daily work. Present a burnt offering as a pleasing aroma to the Lord: 2 young bulls, 1 ram, and 7 male lambs, a year old, with their grain offering of fine flour mixed with oil, 6 quarts with each bull, 4 quarts with the ram, and 2 quarts with each of the 7 lambs, and 1 male goat to make an ointment for yourselves. Offer them with their drink offerings in addition to the regular burnt offering and its grain offering. Your animals are to be unblemished. You are to hold a sacred assembly in the 7th month, on the 1st day of the month, and you are not to do any daily work. This will be the day of trumpet blast for you. Offer a burnt offering as a pleasing aroma to the Lord: 1 young bull, 1 ram, 7 male lambs, a year old, all unblemished, with their grain offering of fine flour mixed with oil. 6 quarts with the bull, 4 quarts with the ram, and 2 quarts with each of 7 male lambs. Also offer 1 male goat as a sin offering to make an ointment for yourselves. These are in addition to the monthly and regular burnt offerings with the prescribed grain offerings and drink offerings. They are a pleasing aroma, of food offering to the Lord. You are to hold a sacred assembly on the 10th day of the 7th month and practice self-denial. Do not do any work. Present a burnt offering to the Lord, a pleasing aroma: 1 young bull, 1 ram, and 7 male lambs, a year old. All your animals are to be unblemished. Their grain offering is to be fine flour mixed with oil: 6 quarts with the bull, 4 quarts with the ram, and 2 quarts with each of the 7 lambs. Offer 1 male goat for a sin offering. The regular burnt offering with its grain offering and drink offerings are in addition to the sin offering of anointment. You are to hold a scarce assembly on the 15th day of the 7th month. You do not do any daily work. You are to celebrate a 7-day festival for the Lord. Present a burnt offering, a food offering, a pleasing aroma to the Lord, 13 young bulls, 2 rams, and 14 male lambs a year old. They are to be unblemished. Their grain offering is to be fine flour mixed with oil, 6 quarts with each of the 13 bulls, 4 quarts with each of the 2 rams, and 2 quarts with each of the 14 lambs. Also offer 1 male goat as a sin offering. These are in addition to the regular burnt offering with the grain and drink offerings. On the second day, present 12 young bulls, 2 rams, and 14 male lambs a year old, all unblemished, with their grain and drink offerings of the bull, ram, and lamb in proportion to their number. Also offer 1 male goat as a sin offering. These are in addition to regular burnt offerings with its grain and drink and their drink offerings. On the third day, present 11 bulls, 2 rams, 14 male lambs a year old, all unblemished, with their grain and drink offerings for the bulls, rams, and lambs in proportion to their number. Also offer 1 male goat as a sin offering. These are in addition to the regular burnt offering with its grain and drink offerings. On the fourth day, present 2 bulls, 2 rams, 14 male lambs a year old, all unblemished, with their grain and drink offerings for the bulls, rams, and lambs, in proportion to their number. Also offer 1 male goat as a sin offering. These are in addition to the regular burnt offerings with its grain and drink offerings. On the 5th day, present 9 bulls, 2 rams, 14 male lambs a year old, all unblemished, with the grain and drink offerings for the bulls, rams, and lambs in proportion to their number. Also offer 1 male goat as a sin offering. These are in addition to the regular burnt offerings with its grain and drink offerings. On the 6th day, present 8 bulls, 2 rams, 14 male lambs a year old, all unblemished, with their grain and drink offerings for the bulls, rams, and lambs in proportion to their number. Also offer 1 male goat as a sin offering. These are in addition to a regular burnt offering with its grain and drink offerings. On the 7th day, present 7 bulls, 2 rams, and 14 male lambs a year old, all unblemished, with their grain and drink offerings for the bulls, rams, and lambs in proportion to their number. Also offer 1 male goat as a sin offering. These are in addition to the regular burnt offerings with its grain and drink offerings. On the 8th day, you are to hold solemn assembly. You are not to do any daily work. Present a burnt offering, a food offering, a pleasing aroma to the Lord, 1 bull, 1 ram, 7 male lambs a year old, all unblemished, with their grain and drink offerings to the bulls, rams, and lambs in proportions to their number. Also offer 1 male goat as a sin offering. These are in addition to the regular burnt offerings with its grain and drink offerings. Offer these to the Lord at your appointed times in addition to your vow and free will of offerings, whether burnt, grain, drink, or fellowship offerings. So Moses told the Israelites everything the Lord had commanded him. Moses told the leaders of the Israelite tribes, "This is what the Lord has commanded. When a man makes a vow to the Lord or swears an oath to put himself under an obligation, he must not break his word. He must do whatever he has promised. When a woman in her father's house during her youth makes a vow to the Lord and puts herself under an obligation, and her father hears about her vow, the obligation she put herself under, and he says nothing to her, all her vows and every obligation she put herself under are binding. But if her father prohibits her on the day he hears about it, none of her vows and none of the obligations she put in herself under are binding. The Lord will release her because her father has prohibited her. If a woman marries while her vows, the rash commitment she herself made are binding, and her husband hears about it and says nothing to her when he finds out, her vows are binding, and the obligations she put herself under are binding. But if her husband prohibits her when he hears about it, he will cancel her vow, and he is binding, or the rash commitment she herself made, and the Lord will release her. Every vow a widow or divorced woman puts herself under is binding on her. If a woman in her husband's house has made a vow or put herself under an obligation with an oath, and her husband hears about it, says nothing to her, and does not prohibit her, all her vows are binding, and every obligation she put herself under is binding. But if her husband cancels them on the day he hears about it, nothing that came from her lips, whether her vows or her obligation, is binding. Her husband has canceled them, and the Lord will release her. Her husband may confirm or cancel any vow or any sworn obligation to deny herself. If her husband says nothing at all to her from day to day, he confirms all her vows and obligations, which are binding. He has confirmed them because he said nothing to her when he heard about them. But if he cancels them after he hears about them, he will be responsible for her commitment. These are the statutes that the Lord commanded Moses concerning the relationship between a man and his wife, or between a father and his daughter in the house during her youth. Okay, guys, I will see y'all tomorrow for day 45. May y'all have a blessed day. Shalom.